Thanks for your support as a channel member, Optics! It was an exhausting weekend in Brazil with delayed qualifyings, eventful racing all over the shop, and in the end, Max Verstappen delivered probably his best ever victory. Hello folks, and welcome to another F1 Grand Prix reaction video. These are my thoughts on the Brazilian Grand Prix, not the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, the Brazilian Grand Prix. We'll call it by its proper name because they're racing in Brazil. So let's get straight into it. Max Verstappen winning from 17th on the grid. A phenomenal achievement, an amazing drive. And look, I have sat here for the last 2 weeks and criticised Max Verstappen fairly, in my opinion, for the way he goes about some of his driving. I also did say at the times he defended brilliantly in Cota, that he's too good to drive the way he did in Mexico. And in Brazil yesterday, we saw all of his talent. He's a wet weather specialist. We've seen it before in Brazil, but think back to 2016, he was absolutely amazing. And the car just worked for him this weekend in the wet. They got that set up absolutely spot on, and he was in a class of his own. Once he got out in front, he was seconds a lap faster than anybody else. And look, it's no mean feat coming through from 17th just to finish sort of perhaps in the top 10, top 5, but to go on and win the race, it was something special. Of course, he made a brilliant start. It was PlayStation stuff at the start, really. He drove around the outside of several cars, and then he just picked off everybody else. What was frustrating was that nobody really seemed to want to defend, or either he was just outsmarting them, or they just weren't smart enough to realise that he would be able to do that move, or they just didn't have the confidence in their car to defend him. It did just look like a couple of drivers left the door wide open and were like, yeah, on you go, Max, and didn't really put up a fight, which is a shame. You'd want to see drivers being a bit more sort of bold with their positional defence, but you know, I think Verstappen has maybe got in people's heads just about just how good he is. Hamilton had it back in the day. He had this fear factor that, you know, he could overtake you anywhere, anytime. And Verstappen is the same. They're so good on the brakes, these drivers, and that they can collect it all up and off they go. We've seen some unbelievable overtakes from the pair of them, and you know, other drivers have had it before. Ricciardo, think about him in his heyday. He was stupendous on the brakes. He would get the job done, and it would get them results that they may not have necessarily achieved without that talent. But you know, Verstappen yesterday, was in a class of one, as I said, and I think it's his best win. He's had a lot of wins, a lot of wins very recently, although not in the most recent history. Quite a few races without being on the top step. And you know, I'm not Max Verstappen's biggest fan. I admire his talent as a driver. I despise some of the actions that he does on track in terms of his defending at times, as we've debated on this channel. But you have to stand up and applaud. That was an excellent drive. And it's up there with his debut win in Spain in 2016. He's won some other fabulous races. But I think this one, from the context of what happened earlier in the day, because qualifying was delayed to the Sunday morning, I think it speaks volumes about actually he managed to get himself into a headspace where he was able to perform. We were debating in my Discord server before the race, which, you know, link for that is in the description. Go and join the conversation there. We have loads of stuff. We have F1 chat, Formula 2, Formula 3 chat. We have league racing chats. We have an Among Us chat as well for when we play Among Us. So yeah, there's plenty for everybody in there. But we were debating beforehand whether we were going to get Mad Max because of what happened in Q2 and his elimination from that session with the red flag. And I'm not going to get into that debate. I debated it on stream. You can go and rewatch the qualifying and watch along this hour and a half of madness, put it that way, which does include me putting up some washing, so enjoy that. But he kept calm, and I think what maybe helped was the fact that he got a good start, and then he felt that the car was there for him and he could just go and attack. And yeah, maybe he felt that during qualifying as well, which is why he was maybe more annoyed. But you know, he still went on to win the race, so yeah, credit where credit's due. I think that is absolutely Verstappen's best ever drive, just full stop. I think that's the best performance we've ever seen him put in. It's difficult to to really quantify how good a performance is when someone wins by 25 seconds in the best car. Some of Lewis Hamilton's best wins aren't those where he's just driven off from pole position and won by 25 seconds because people just say, oh, you've got the best car and you're the best driver, you should do that. So it's when they have to face that adversity and overcome that. That's when you really see the talent. And I think that's what we saw with Verstappen in Brazil. And of course, he was helped somewhat by McLaren and Lando Norris dropping the ball. They blew it. They blew it. They almost blew the sprint. Again, watch the sprint watch along for more of my thoughts on that. But the start wasn't great from Lando. He lost out to George Russell. Then he couldn't get by. Verstappen was the only person who could really seem to overtake anybody. Norris couldn't get past. Maybe they had too much drag for the straights, but yeah. Then that call to stop under the virtual safety car for fresh inters, it killed all of his chances. Would he have finished ahead of Verstappen anyway? Perhaps, if they'd got him bottled up in that train behind Ocon and Leclerc, and Leclerc boxed, didn't he? So it would have been a few more cars for Verstappen to overtake. So we'll never know, but it definitely didn't help Lando's cause, and obviously sliding off at the safety car restart where Verstappen took the lead really was the nail in the coffin, and P6 in the end for Lando. It's a long way back from here. I think if Verstappen beats Norris in Vegas, that's it. It's done and dusted. So we've gone from pre-race thinking, okay, Verstappen could be under a lot of pressure here and Lando could be right back in the fight, to it's as good as done. The fat lady's not singing, as they say, but she's warming up her voice. The champagne is on ice. All of those cliches and analogies. But let's move away from McLaren and the fight at the front to a team that was fighting at the front, and we didn't really expect that. Alpine. What a performance. This team has been slaughtered in the press for not being good enough. They're moving away. They're ditching their own engine program on Renault/Alpine. They're going to be a customer team. It's bizarre, but they've bagged. It's a red letter day. They have bagged so many points. They've gone from 9th to 6th in the World Championship for the constructors. And I can't remember whether it was Karun Chandok or Bernie Collins on Sky Sports saying that it's a $50 million race, because that's the difference in prize money. It makes a huge amount of difference. But there's still 3 races left, and we're not quite sure what you get from Alpine. However, let's concentrate on the good job the team did in terms of getting their strategy right, sticking with it, and credit to the drivers as well. No mistakes. Ocon and Gasly throughout the weekend, individually at different times, and then together during the Grand Prix. Very, very assured in all conditions. Gasly strong in sprint quali, finished in the points in the sprint. Ocon qualifying, I think, 4th in normal qualifying, finishing 2nd on the road. And look, Esteban has his critics. A lot of people dislike him because he's very aggressive. He gets tangled up with his teammates. But he's a race winner. He's shown when he's at the front, he's very accomplished and he can get the job done. Yeah, okay, we go back to that move in Monaco. That was a bit silly. A lot silly, really, let's be honest. But he's moving on. He knows that he'll go to Haas and he will be probably the number 1 driver. Behrman will be fast, but he's a rookie still. He will be learning and there'll be mistakes. He had a bit of a messy weekend this week, stepping in for Kevin Magnussen. And there's going to be weekends like that next year when he's a full-time driver. So it's going to be on Ocon's shoulders to really carry the team and deliver the points for Haas. And he's shown yesterday, that when the opportunity presents itself, like it did in Hungary 2021, he can deliver. And obviously Pierre Gasly following him home in 3rd place. And it was nice for them to share that moment on the podium. They've both spoken kindly about each other. We know they don't necessarily see eye to eye. Long childhood rivalry, and yeah, it's nice for them to share that moment before they sort of move on and become opposite team rivals again. So that's my thoughts on the race. Let me know what you thought. And of course, in this we always do an alternative driver of the day. Max Verstappen was driver of the day, obviously, but note here, driver of the day, not the race. My driver of the day, because I'm including qualifying, I'm going to caveat this, I've gone for Yuki Tsunoda. 3rd in qualifying, 7th in the Grand Prix after Piastri's penalty. So it could have been a lot more had they not stopped under the virtual safety car. But great job from Yuki Tsunoda. And that is a statement performance that says, hello Red Bull, remember me, I'm very good too. Look, we know Tsunoda does see the red mist. Do Red Bull need two drivers who are likely to sort of flip out a little bit if things don't go their way? I mean, we've seen it with Verstappen, we have seen it with Tsunoda. So maybe, I don't know, Liam Lawson, is he ready for the Red Bull seat? Who knows? I mean, Red Bull are kind of a law unto themselves in what they do with their drivers, but Tsunoda, I'm critical of him, but this weekend, nothing but praise. He was fabulous. Really, really, really good drive on Sunday. Quirky circumstances with the early start. I think the drivers were up at like 4 a.m. It was just exhausting for them. I'm tired from just watching it all, so yeah, it's quite a weekend. Right, I have got about 60 seconds to wrap this up because I've got to go to work. So my race rating, I'm going to give it a 6.5. It was the classic craziness, chaos, stop-start nature of a wet race, but it lacked the sort of overtaking. It was too difficult to overtake, whether that was because of the bumpiness of the circuit or just the visibility and the way these cars spray the water basically into a wall and you can hardly see. But Verstappen was the only one who seemed to have the confidence to make overtakes. If we'd had a bit more of that, maybe we could have had a bit more of an exciting race. But anyway, that was the Brazilian Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Let me know what you think, who your alternate driver of the day was and what you would rate the race. Thanks very much for watching. You're the best fans. It's bye for now.